Right now, Europe's economic powerhouse is bleeding jobs at a rate not seen in 70 years, and the clean energy revolution was supposed to prevent this. Germany poured over $500 billion into what politicians called the future, yet factories are going dark. Giants like Volkswagen and BASF are fleeing the country, and electricity bills have tripled. What went so catastrophically wrong? Germany's Energiewende, its grand energy transition, was supposed to be the blueprint for the world. The promise was simple: phase out nuclear power, embrace wind and solar, and lead humanity into a sustainable future. But today, that vision lies in ruins. The country that once manufactured the world's best machines now faces what experts are calling deindustrialization, a hollowing out of its industrial core that threatens not just Germany, but the entire European economy. The numbers tell a brutal story. Since 2000, Germany has spent an estimated 600 to 700 billion euros on its renewable energy transition, with some projections suggesting total costs could reach 5 trillion euros by 2045. That's not a typo. 5 trillion. To put that in perspective, that's roughly equivalent to 1.5 times the entire annual GDP of Germany. The renewable energy subsidy alone has cost German consumers around 25 billion euros every single year, driving household electricity prices to the highest in Europe. In 2024, average household electricity costs hit 400 euros per megawatt-hour, with crisis spikes reaching a staggering 900 euros. Compare that to France, which relies heavily on nuclear power and pays around 250 euros per megawatt-hour. Germans are paying nearly 4 times what their French neighbors pay for the same electricity. For Germany's industrial giants, those price differences aren't just inconvenient, they're existential. Energy-intensive industries like chemicals, steel, and automotive manufacturing need massive amounts of reliable, affordable power to operate. When your energy costs are 3 or 4 times higher than your competitors in other countries, you have 2 choices: shut down or relocate. And that's exactly what's happening. BASF, the global chemical giant, has announced it's downsizing operations in Germany and shifting focus to China and the United States, where energy is cheaper and more stable. The company closed its aluminum smelter and several chemical production lines, citing unsustainable energy prices. Volkswagen, once the pride of German engineering, is considering closing key manufacturing plants and has already announced plans to cut 35,000 jobs by 2030. ThyssenKrupp is slashing its steel division. Siemens executives have openly stated that investing in Germany no longer makes economic sense. The exodus isn't limited to headline-grabbing corporations. Small and medium-sized enterprises, the backbone of Germany's economy, are collapsing under the weight of energy costs they simply cannot afford. These are family-owned businesses, manufacturers, and suppliers that have operated for generations. They don't have the resources to relocate to China or the United States. They just close. Over the past 4 years, Germany's industrial workforce has lost hundreds of thousands of jobs. In 2024 alone, 120,000 manufacturing positions disappeared. The automotive sector has shed 46,000 jobs since 2019. Across all manufacturing, about 361,000. Industrial jobs have vanished, with forecasts suggesting another 300,000 could be gone by the end of 2025. For context, that's roughly the population of a mid-sized American city just erased from the workforce. So how did Germany, once celebrated as Europe's green energy pioneer, end up in this disaster? The answer lies in a series of catastrophic policy decisions that prioritize speed and political ideology over economic reality. The first major mistake came in 2011, when Germany decided to phase out all nuclear power in the wake of Japan's Fukushima disaster. At the time, nuclear energy provided steady, low-carbon baseload power. It was reliable, ran 24 hours a day, and produced virtually no greenhouse gas emissions. But in a wave of political panic and pressure from the Green Party, Germany announced it would shut down every nuclear plant by 2022. The last 3 reactors finally closed in April 2023. That decision alone cost Germany an estimated 12 billion euros annually, and according to studies, has led to 170 premature deaths each year from increased air pollution as coal plants filled the gap. Here's the cruel irony. Germany shut down its cleanest energy source and replaced it with the dirtiest. Without nuclear power to provide reliable baseload electricity, Germany became dependent on coal, specifically lignite. the most polluting form of coal. In 2024, Germany remained the second largest emitter of carbon dioxide per unit of energy produced in all of Europe, emitting 10 times more than nuclear-powered France. The country that championed the Green Revolution ended up burning more coal than almost any other nation in Europe. The environmental benefits that were supposed to justify the energy transition simply never materialized. The second critical mistake was Germany's overwhelming reliance on intermittent renewable energy sources, wind and solar, without adequate backup systems. Renewables accounted for nearly 63% of Germany's electricity generation in 2024, which sounds impressive on paper. But there's a fundamental problem. Wind and solar only work when the wind is blowing and the sun is shining. Germans even have a word for the periods when neither happens: Dunkelflaute, which translates to dark doldrums. During these episodes, which are especially severe in winter months when energy demand peaks, wind and solar production can drop to less than 20% of capacity. On the 12th of December 2024, renewable energy production plummeted to just 1/30th of what the country needed. 1/30th. During those hours, Germany was forced to fire up coal and lignite plants and import electricity from neighboring countries like France, Denmark, and Poland at premium prices. This intermittency creates chaos in the electrical grid. When renewables overproduce during sunny, windy days, the grid becomes flooded with excess power that must be managed or wasted. When renewables underproduce during Dunkelflaute, conventional plants must scramble to fill the gap, often at enormous cost. In 2018 alone, maintaining grid stability cost over 1.4 billion euros, as grid operators paid conventional power plants to reduce output when renewables caused transmission congestion, then paid them again to ramp back up when the wind stopped. It's an absurdly expensive and inefficient system. To make the renewable transition work, Germany desperately needs massive energy storage and grid infrastructure, neither of which has been built at the necessary scale. As of January 2025, Germany had only 1.7 gigawatts of large-scale electricity storage capacity, a fraction of what's needed for a system powered by 60% variable renewables. Experts estimate that expanding the power grids alone will cost 650 billion euros by 2045, with annual investments needing to more than double from current levels. Construction and approval delays make those timelines almost laughably optimistic. Wind energy project approvals currently take an average of 5 years, and approval rates consistently fall 20 to 40% below government targets. Germany would need to double its onshore wind capacity from 59 gigawatts in 2023 to 115 gigawatts by 2030, and nearly triple solar capacity from 75 to 215 gigawatts. Analysis from Johns Hopkins University bluntly concluded that Germany will not meet its 2030 renewable energy build-out targets due to bureaucratic inertia, supply chain vulnerabilities, and labor shortages. And then there's the geopolitical dimension. Germany made itself dangerously dependent on Russian natural gas to bridge the gap between coal and renewables. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 and cut off gas supplies, Germany faced an energy crisis of its own making. The Nord Stream pipelines, Germany's lifeline to cheap Russian gas, were destroyed in suspected sabotage. Overnight, Germany scrambled to build liquefied natural gas terminals where none had existed before. Energy prices skyrocketed. The first floating LNG terminal came online at the end of 2022, but LNG is far more expensive than pipeline gas, and the environmental costs of liquefying, transporting, and regasifying natural gas rival or even exceed those of coal. The economic damage is staggering and accelerating. Germany's GDP contracted by 0.3% in 2023 and another 0.2% in 2024, the country's longest recession in 70 years. This isn't just a blip, it's a structural collapse. Since 2019, Germany's economy has grown by a mere 0.1%, while the United States expanded by 12% over the same period. Industrial output has declined for 4 consecutive years, dropping 4.5% in 2024 alone. Unemployment is rising, forecast to hit 6.3% in 2025. Business confidence has evaporated. In mid-2025, about a quarter of German companies described their economic condition as unsatisfactory, and more than a third plan to cut 150,000 employees. Germany's political leadership bears much of the blame. The Green Party, despite representing a minority of voters, has wielded outsized influence over energy policy, pushing for rapid transitions that ignored economic realities. Policies like replacing gas boilers with heat pumps became deeply polarizing as costs spiraled and practicality collapsed. Meanwhile, populist parties have surged, capitalizing on public frustration with green policies that seem designed to punish ordinary citizens and workers. In the February 2025 election, the conservative CDU-CSU coalition won by pledging to reverse key policies for electric vehicles and heat pumps, a direct rebuke of the green agenda. What makes this tragedy even more painful is that it was entirely avoidable. Other countries pursuing clean energy have managed to do so without destroying their economies. France, for example, generates most of its electricity from nuclear power and enjoys some of the lowest electricity prices and carbon emissions in Europe. Scandinavian countries invested heavily in hydroelectric power and maintained nuclear fleets as backup. Even the United States, despite its messy energy politics, has managed to expand renewables while keeping energy affordable through abundant natural gas and pragmatic policies. Germany could have kept its nuclear plants running while building out renewables. It could have invested in energy storage and grid infrastructure before shutting down reliable baseload power. It could have diversified its energy imports instead of becoming dependent on Russia. It didn't. Now, Germany faces a grim set of choices. The Federation of German Industries estimates that Germany needs 1.4 trillion euros in additional public and private investment by 2030 just to remain globally competitive. Around 20% of industrial value creation in the country is at risk. Some analysts suggest that reversing certain net zero policies like reconsidering nuclear energy or easing regulations might help stem the bleeding, but political divisions make such reversals unlikely. The damage, in many ways, may already be done. Factories that relocate to China or the United States don't just come back because energy prices improve. Skilled workers who leave don't return. Entire supply chains and industrial ecosystems, once dismantled, take decades to rebuild. Germany's green energy collapse serves as a cautionary tale for the rest of the world. The transition to clean energy is necessary and achievable, but it cannot be driven by ideology, political posturing, or wishful thinking. It requires pragmatic planning, massive infrastructure investment, reliable backup power, and above all, an honest reckoning with the trade-offs involved. Energy security and affordability cannot be sacrificed on the altar of speed. Industrial competitiveness cannot be treated as a secondary concern, and countries cannot simply assume that renewables will magically replace fossil fuels without addressing the fundamental challenges of intermittency, storage, and grid stability. Germany gambled $500 billion on a dream and lost. The question now is whether other nations will learn from Germany's mistakes or repeat them. Is your country making the same mistakes? What's the right way to transition to clean energy? Share your thoughts below. And if this analysis shocked you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're covering the stories that shape our economic future.